We finally made it to this deck profile. You guys wanted to see Shifter Thunder? I got you guys. What's going on, you guys? Slim here to finally profile version 1, hopefully of many. Hopefully we'll get this build down after a couple tries of the Shifter Thunder. This is what you guys requested in the comments based on the last deck profile of my Thunder Dragon deck. I've shown you guys multiple builds throughout, last format, this format. And with our new ban list, I talked about how I felt Thunder, was still just a really strong deck. I felt that it did have a lot of weaknesses, though, against Orcust. The fact that Super Poly is at 3, it is kind of a problem. But at the end of the day, when it comes to a deck like this and a lot of decks that we've seen in the past, you kind of have to put your opponent on, well, they better have it. Because a lot of times, if they don't have it, you can just set up a board that they can't break, and then you just win the next turn because your monsters are just huge. I feel that including Dimensional Shifter in this build does give us a lot of advantage over our really bad matchups, and I'll talk about that when I go through the explanations. I'm going to let you guys know that this is a very streamlined list, extremely simple. It's what I like about it is I kept it very non-complicated for anyone that's trying to learn Thunder, trying to play different builds, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. So if you guys are new here, consider subscribing, hit the like button if you enjoyed the deck profile, and we'll get into it. So that's right, D-Shifter Thunders, you guys. I'll start off with the Thunder cards, and I'll only explain what really needs to be explained. You guys have seen this, and you will continue to see this on this Thunder Dragon Advocate channel for hopefully until the deck dies. But yeah, so the only normal summon is Battering Man Solar. So that is the first thing that I would say was very different for me when I decided to try out this build. So I love Aloof Lupine. Everybody knows that it's definitely one of my favorite cards in the deck. I felt that in the Shifter build, though, you really only want to see Solar. You want to see Solar Shifter. You open Solar Shifter, it's just insane. Summon Solar, activate effect, change Shifter, banish the Roar, Dark, whatever it is. It's usually Roar, and I mean, you just get everything going. Your opponent's Macrocosmos for the turn. Like, it's just, I mean, it's nuts. And what I really like about this card is the fact that it does produce a token. The token is very important. It comes up a lot when we're link climbing, as well as when we're just making certain plays that we need to go through. Making the BLS link is another amazing thing about playing Solar. And while I've always been more so a fan of Aloof Lupine in the regular version of Pure that doesn't play Shifter, I feel that in the Shifter build you have to just play 3 Solar. So that's why that's the only normal summon. Then all the Thunders are pretty much the same Thunders you see in every deck. I maxed out on pretty much all of them. 3 OG, 3 Dark, 3 Hawk, 3 Roar, and I still played 3 Matrix. So not everyone is playing 3 Matrix. I've seen some builds that I actually really like that actually don't play Matrix at all. The only reason I'm playing Matrix is because I do like the option to normal summon it if I don't open Solar. I like the ability to make a Link Karibo. I like the ability to get to a Colossus even with this, depending on my hand, and the fact that it does trigger Titan, and that is huge. Titan does have its own issues, if it does get interrupted, but when it doesn't get interrupted, this card is insane. Also, the 500 boost is quite relevant. You can win a lot of games with that extra 500. No one really pays attention to that, but it is important. It's also a permanent gain, so that's really important, and I really like it. And then I played just 1 duo. So the reason for only 1 duo is because with Shifter, you never really have a graveyard. You don't have your protection. You don't have any of that going on. A lot of times, like this card, I hate to say it, sometimes just becomes dead, and it kind of sucks because I really do like this card. In other builds you guys have seen, I've played more than 1 copy because the card is just so aggressive. It also really helps with the rank 8 strategy, but this deck is different because Shifter is like one of the main focuses, one of the main win buttons that helps us, just completely just like overwhelm our opponent, and then we just kill them the next turn. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, duo is just a one of, because we can search it with Fusion. If Fusion does ever get to the grave, if we don't open Shifter, we still want to have the option. So yeah, nothing has changed there. It's still all the same Thunder monsters. And then the main part of the deck, the reason why you guys have been wanting to see this, that's right, 3 Shifter. Okay, so I have profiled going second Thunder before. It was the idea that I took from Hayek Chain when he topped the YCS with it. I believe it was YCS Niagara Falls. Now, when it comes to Shifter, I of course have talked about this on how I was on the fence about this card. Well, this card is insane. It does have its drawbacks. It's usually dead if you don't have ways to get it out of the graveyard. You won't really get to resolve it more than once, but when you do resolve it, I feel you usually do win the game. I feel that, again, Solar Shifter is just the utter nuts. I mean, like, literally, it just does so much for your deck, and I just really, really like it. The fact that this is a Dark, too, is also really important. The ability to banish it off Allure if we draw extra copies is amazing. Just, helps us filter through our deck. and the fact that this is a macrocosmos. This is a macrocosmos in the craziest form ever. This is one of the most underrated cards when it came out in the Mega Tin, and I feel that in this particular format, this card will help you against the Orcus matchup, which is by far your worst matchup. Pure Orcus is still an amazing deck, and you need a card like this. You need a card that just cuts them off from their graveyard, and this is what Dimension Shifter does. Not only that, I feel that Thunder is one of the only decks that can play this card and play this card effectively to its fullest potential, and I feel its fullest potential comes when you're macrocosmosing your opponent, but you yourself can still play under the macrocosmos effect and still get advantage from it. So for that reason, I think Shifter is absolutely insane in this deck, and why I didn't play it before is because I do like a more standard route with more standard hand traps, more standard stuff like that. However, after a lot of testing, after seeing how bad my Orcus matchup is, let me tell you guys, I got my ass kicked by several Orcus, and I mean, I'm telling you, it wasn't even close. You basically set up a board of Colossus, a couple Colossus, maybe a Titan. You don't know what you're playing against. Your opponent just starts doing Orcus things, and basically your Colossus turned into vanillas, and it's crazy. What I like about this card is this card just macrocosmosing everything is also good against Striker. It's good against any deck that needs their graveyard, and you don't get your graveyard for a whole turn, which gives you the momentum back on your turn, and you can usually just push for game, and that's what I really like about this card. So yeah, Dimension Shifter I feel is just really, really strong, and I think it's really good, especially this format, since Orcus is still one of the most prevalent, if not the best deck in the format. So yeah, 3 Shifter, and then for the rest of the hand traps, I'm still playing a decent amount of hand traps because I feel like what I've always loved about Pure Thunder is how you can play good hand traps. So I'm playing 3 Phantasme and 3 Ash. And I also play 3 Infinite Impermanence. So I'm not playing Nibiru in the main deck. I've gone back and forth upon this. I actually talked to some of my friends about this. And the thing is that I feel that Nibiru, while it is extremely strong, there are a lot of matchups it's not that good against. There are decks that play around it. We already know that Lunalight Orcus won the UDS in Panama. Congratulations, Jesse Cotton. Just, another trinket, another feather in his cap, now being a UDS champion, having those 2 buys in the belt for life is crazy. With Lunalight Orcus winning, I mean, you guys know it won YCS Dallas, it won YCS Guadalajara, and even after the ban list with no Mermaid, it still was able to win the UDS in Panama. And the thing is, we know that the deck plays Nyarla, we know that it plays Azathoth. The deck is one of the only decks that can generate those cards so fast, and you're not able to Nibiru them under that, and the card just sits dead in your hand. Whereas sometimes you can get to Phantasme early, sometimes you can Ash early, sometimes you can Permanence early, and at least under Nyarla and Azathoth, Impermanence is still a card you can use, even though you're cut off from these other hand traps. I felt that overall these were just generic hand traps. I wanted a very streamlined deck, and this, along with as well as the 3 Shifter, it just really adds a lot of pressure to the opponent, because not only are you playing your Thunder strategy, but you also have all these added hand traps. And what I do like is Phantasme doesn't hit the grave, so sometimes you can open Phantasme Shifter and it can still work out for you, so I really like that. And again, even if you do Macrocosmos your opponent, you can still use these cards under the macro effect, so it's still pretty crazy. But I just wanted to keep the deck as streamlined as possible, and I felt that these were the best hand traps to do that. That's it for the monsters and the hand traps, and then just the spells real quick. They're just extremely standard. 3 Allure, I mean, the card says draw 2. It's just insane in this deck. You have the Phantasmes and the Dimension Shifters is extra dark, so you can't go wrong with that if you draw extra copies. And 3 Instant Fusion, so back to Instant Fusion. This card's just really good. I've always loved it in Pure Thunder. I feel that in this deck it's extremely strong. It's another starter card if you make Kaminari attack. It's a crazy going second card to make Thousand Eyes Restrict, either steal a card or bait a card, and it's just really strong, especially after you Macrocosmos the opponent. If they try to end on a very subpar board, it's single Instant Fusion can just out the whole board with Thousand Eyes and linking away into Linkuriboh, and it's so strong. I felt you get a lot more benefit in this build than you do in some of the other builds that don't actually require Instant Fusion. And then just the 2 fusions and the 1 Gold Sark. Don't really need to explain those. I'm not playing Desires, I'm not playing anything like that. The deck is a clean 40. I didn't want it. I definitely didn't want it over 40, and the reason is for this particular build I have played 41, 42. I've played bigger versions of the deck in the past, but this is strictly, I'm really relying on opening Solar Shifter. I really want to see that play. I really want to see that combo, and this was the best way I could do it, just keeping it at 40. Now everyone could argue I could play 39 and play Upstart. I don't know what I'd cut, maybe an Instant Fusion for an Upstart, but I feel that I'd rather have the Instant Fusion, because if I open it, at least I can start doing things with Kaminari attack or make Thousand Eyes Restrict go in second. So yeah, so that is it for the main deck, you guys. It's 40 cards. Extra deck real quick. Extra deck again, extremely standard. The main change for this deck was the shifter, but everything else should pretty much be the same. So 3 Colossus and 3 Titan, they're the heart and soul of the deck. I've said this endless times on the channel. You guys already know how much I love my Thunders, and these are the reason why. These cards are just insane. This card is still really good, even though it's not great against Orcus. It's still good against other matchups, still good against Striker, it's still good against other decks that need to search. There's a lot of searching still in the formats, being able to cut them off from that is crazy. Titan is just nuts, being able to, destroy so many cards, just interrupt the opponent is nuts. It just puts a big body on the board too. That's what I love about these, is they're big bodies and they have the protection. Now granted, they don't have the protection when you shifter to your opponent. You're not always going to open shifter though, so you're just playing a regular Thunder deck at that point, so still extremely strong. And then the other 2 fusions, since we are playing instant fusion, we have the Thousand Eyes for going second and the Kaminari attack for going first, being able to just make your Titan off of this really strong. Just being able to link climb into some summoner and just keep going is just really strong. I really like these cards. And then just generic links, so 1 Link Rebo, it's for the Matrix, Matrix into this, search another Matrix, this at least buys you an attack. And then the difference with this deck, so I am playing 2 copies of some Summoner. Shout out to my brother Jerry. You guys already know my little brother Jerry. He actually gave me a 4-in-1. I got a cool 4-in-1 to sport off here, but I got the English one here. So so the thing is, I was watching a lot of shifter builds and I noticed they were playing 2 copies of this, and I was trying to figure out why. I thought about, okay, could I play Beat Cop? Could I play Lamphonicus? Could I play Lambda? And what I realized is that whenever I'm summoning Solar, it being my main normal summon, Thunder monster, making a Thunder token, I would rather always make this, because this can turn into a Colossus, whereas Lambda and any other generic Link 2 cannot. This is the only Thunder one, so this was definitely the right call to play too. And testing the second one has come up just to pretty much put more monsters on the board and just end the game with extra Colossus, so I really do like that. And then I just play the 1 Phoenix as generic, one of the best Link 2s, and then the Unicorn. This is really good in the mirror. I don't know how prevalent the mirror will be. We've only had a couple events and only 1 event with the new ban list, so we'll have to see if the mirror match keeps coming up. But I do like Unicorn for the the spot removal in the mirror is really good. The 1 BLS Link, I've talked about this card till the cows come home. This is one of my favorite Link 3s in the game. I think this card is nuts. Striker's still a deck, Salamangreat's still a deck. So many decks struggle to out this, and this card is just nuts, especially with Solar. Since we're focusing more on Solar and less on Aloof Lupine in this deck, you're just being able to get that token and get another monster, and you can make this card so easily, and it can just win you the game flat out. And lastly, I got Borreload, because the same reason I usually always play Borreload is because the mirror match comes up, you need to out their Borreload, you need to out their fusions, and this is the best way to do it. Just get rid of problematic monsters. But yeah, that is it, you guys. Very, very standard. I know you guys have been waiting for this, and what I wanted to do for this list, like I told you guys, is I wanted to keep it extremely simple. I wanted to keep it, the way Thunder should be played, and I wanted to keep it just very easy for most players to understand that, while we've tried many different builds on this channel, we've been crazy enough to play Wombo Combo, we've been crazy enough to go back to Pure, we've had so many iterations of hand traps, we've had so many different builds, we've had a going second build, that I really wanted to just keep this deck as simple as possible, and I think a lot of people will appreciate that, so hopefully you guys do. Now I know not all the cards here are cheap, but you guys are able to buy them, and if you guys do want to build this deck card for card, or make your own version, or make your own altercations with it, you can always use my TCG player link. It's linked in the description below. A portion of it goes back to the channel. It helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. One thing I'll say is that I know this card has gone up so much, but I've talked about how I feel like most players should have already invested in this card, and if you are going to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel you need this card. I feel that this card will come up in so many situations. Being able to sculpt your hand is just next to none, and then having the non-targeting protection is insane. And then yeah, this card, I mean, this is why we built the deck, you guys. You guys wanted to see the shifter build, and this is just version 1, so I want you guys to know this is just version 1, and I'm definitely open to making changes. I would love some suggestions for you guys if you have them. I feel that Thunder will continue to evolve, and we'll find a way to stay in the meta, because a lot of people are saying this deck sucks, and I don't agree with that. I feel that yes, it does have a bad Orcus matchup. Yes, it can lose to Super Poly. There's a lot of decks that can lose to Super Poly, so I don't consider that a good enough excuse. I think that even though it doesn't have, like I said, the best Orcus matchup, it has a very hard Orcus matchup. Side deck can take care of that. Lancea can take care of that. No Material can take care of that. There's a lot of cards that can take care of that, and I feel that being able to, still play this deck, still put up the insane board that it does put up, its controlling board, its ability to end on Colossus hand trap can sometimes be strong enough, and its ability to just grind is why I feel that in any format this deck will continue to be good until they try to completely nuke the deck. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, again, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your thoughts on version 1 of Dimension Shifter Thunder. Thunder. It's basically just pure Thunder with Dimension Shifter, but it's what you guys wanted to see, and I hope that I did you guys justice. Again, we will continue to update this deck as the format continues, and as long as the deck stays alive, I'm going to keep playing it because it was my favorite decks in the game. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.